Excellent. So hi, everyone. I am Sumner from the Greater Langley Chamber. I want to thank you all for joining us for today's webinar. The Greater Langley Chamber is pleased to host motivational speaker, author, and just an all-around great person, Darci Lang. In this difficult time, Darci will share tools on how to be focused and positive. Also, we have 10 copies that we will be able to hand out to winners after the event. I hope you enjoy every minute of this session and that you get the most out of it. Darci, I'll hand it over to you now.
Thank you, Sumner. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for taking the time. I'm so grateful. I've got 30 minutes with you, and I'd like to give you, let me set up what's going to happen here today. Yes, Sumner, I've been a motivational speaker for 27 years. I am so blessed with this career. And again, I am coming to you today from Regina, Saskatchewan, which is just thawing out. So we are very excited to get into spring and, believe it or not, and summer here. So what I'd like to talk about today is a topic I'm calling staying positive in a difficult time. But I want to tell you the base of most of my messages. My messages and my books are called Focus on the 90%. And my book that you're giving away today, Sumner, is Living the 90%. And it's my belief that we hold this big imaginary magnifying glass out in front of us in our lives, and we have a choice what we focus it on. What I call the 90%, the positive aspects of our life, or the not so positive 10%. So lately, my friends have been saying, I think you need to flip that percentage, that 90% of the world is in chaos right now and 10% is good. I said, maybe. But for the sake of this time that we're going to spend together, I'm going to share what are the two bases of my books and my message. That seeing the 90% in our life is my belief that we should wake up every day and say, what is good, what is positive, rather than waking up seeing the things we can't control. So we're going to talk about that. And then the other base of my books is not only talking about what is good and positive, but also looking at what isn't, the 10%, and really challenging ourselves on what we can control in our lives that we consider to be a 10%. So that's very fitting in this difficult time in the world right now. And I'd like to ask you a few questions. I'd like to ask you, what are you focusing on? What are you doing to stay positive? And in the interest of our 27 minutes together, I'm going to ask you, what are you doing to stay positive in these three areas in the interest of time that we have? First, I'm going to ask, what are you, the person in the mirror, what are you doing personally, individually, to stay positive in this difficult time in the world? So we're going to talk about you first. Then we're going to talk about what are you doing within your family unit, because some of you, like me, have people home that you've never had home before. And I want to talk about what we're doing in our family to stay positive in this difficult time. And then in closing, because it is the Greater Langley Chamber of Commerce hosting today, I'd like to talk about what are you doing within your business in this difficult time to stay positive, because my business is completely different right now, as I know it is for many of you. So I'm going to talk about what we're doing within our business to be positive. So those are the three areas, again, in our compact time we have today. Let's get started. Let's talk about what are you focused on. So what I'd like to say is in this, people are clearly spinning out. Clearly, this is a time in the world that is very difficult. And as an optimistic, positive person, it's been very important for me that I first acknowledge I live in reality. Of course, I know it's a difficult time in the world. Of course, I know people are struggling, people are unwell, people are suffering in their families, their mental health, and they're suffering in their businesses. I completely understand that. So please let me say that up front. But one thing I really want people to stop and focus on is if you're healthy enough to be on this call today, nothing else matters. And I know some of you have had financial ruin. I know some of you are dealing with this is really affecting your mental health. But if you are healthy enough and your family's healthy enough for you to have joined us here today, I think everything else will work itself out. So that's been a very important thing for me to do, is come up with, me personally, a line that when I run into people social distance walking, when I'm emailing people, when I'm talking to people on the phone, and on the many, many Zoom calls I'm doing now, That's how I start. How are you doing is the question people ask with a different level of sincerity. And my response is, I'm healthy, so nothing else matters. So that's what I want to say up front. And looking after ourselves is very important because people need us. My family needs me right now to be a grounding force for them. My business needs me to be a shined up, polished up version of myself so that when this is over, I'm going to hit the ground running a better version of myself than before this happened. So let's talk about you. So what can we do, the person in the mirror, to stay positive in this difficult time? I've done many videos over the last month, and the first thing I say to people is, let's focus on the things that we can control that don't cost money. And I know we're getting grants and money starting to roll in, but for the most part, people were fearful of money, fearful of their health when this all started, fearful of money. So I said, well, then why don't you focus on the things you can control and the things that do not cost money? For me, if you've got my book, and 10 of you will have it, you're going to learn 3 of one of my chapters I call Take Ruthless Care of Yourself, 3 of the things that I think are most important that do not cost money. First is sleep. And trolling social media and looking at the news, which I have to tell you, I have not watched 5 minutes of the news. I do not read the newspaper. I'm 51 years old. I have not read the paper or listened to the news my entire adult life, so I am certainly not going to do that now. So of course I know what's going on. Of course I'm isolating, social distancing, washing my hands, all those things, but you don't have to watch hours of the news a day to know what's going on in the world. How can pandemic be one of the top rated things that people are watching on Netflix right now? What? Haven't we got enough negativity already? So really look at what can you do? The sleep element. How can you sleep if you're laying in bed at night searching for all the things that are terrible in the world right now? Find ways to sleep. I am not a sleep expert, but I have an entire chapter on sleep in my book because sleep is sanity. And for some of us, this is the most sleep we've ever got in our lives. We're having opportunities to sleep more, to sleep better. Sleep has been very important for me. So look, that costs nothing. The next thing that doesn't cost money is exercise. I know some of you join gyms, but you can exercise clearly without money. I live in Regina. Social distancing is not a big deal. So I've been walking and running my pup every single night for like an hour. I travel every week. As you know, I've been to Langley this week. I go coast to coast. I'm usually gone 2 or 3 days a week. I am home. Even my dog's looking at me like, again? Like, you're still home and we're walking again? But what are we doing in the exercise realm to be well? If you're fearful of getting coronavirus, what are you doing to build your immune system? And things that don't cost money. Sleep builds immune. Exercise builds your immune system. I was walking my dog the other night and my neighbor, I ran into my neighbor, and of course we're asking, how are you doing? And I say, I'm healthy, so nothing else matters. I said, how are you and your family doing? And she said, well, we all have COVID-20. I said, COVID-20? What's COVID-20? And she said, well, we've all gained 20 pounds. And we had a good laugh over it, but I thought, well, that's not going to help the immune. And what this is our gift of time. For some of us, we've never had to get in the best shape of our lives. Look at some of you live in these beautiful places. You live in Langley area, the most beautiful place on earth. What are we doing to social distance walk? What are we doing to exercise? So again, when this is over, because it's going to be over, are you going to hit the ground running? Because I think these chaotic times, these stressful, difficult times in our lives reveal our true selves. And if in these difficult times we revert to self-sabotage behavior, that's something I think we need to dig deep on. So first, let's look at our sleep. Let's look at our exercise. The next thing that does not cost money is meditation. I could have done a half an hour webinar with you today on meditation alone. But again, people are spinning out. What's the best way to stop spinning out? Turn all the tech off, sit quietly on this beautiful place that you get to live, and just be soulfully quiet with it. That's changed my life as a motivational speaker who is a seriously excited human being on earth. Nothing gives me clarity. Nothing brings me more peace in my life than to just sit and meditate and be grateful. So I'm asking that people do those three free things: sleep, exercise, and meditate more in this time where the world is spinning out. Then look at what is your biggest 10% right now. You as a person, not your family, not your business, not your community. You as a person, what's your biggest 10%? I live in a house with people with anxiety, depression, and such. Fear is a very difficult thing for people right now. Mental health is very difficult. So take your fear, and in our house, we have a saying at our front door that says, let your faith be greater than your fear. So take your fear and look at what are you the most afraid of. And most of the people that I know that are spinning out right now are fearful of getting sick. So I say, what are you doing about that? What are you doing to say, okay, so this is happening in the world. It's a difficult time. What do I need to do to be well? Sleep, exercise, meditation. What about nutrition? So isn't this the ample opportunity to really research what we can do to build our immune systems? We do all kinds of herbs and nutritional supplements. We're really good, clean eating people here in this house to make sure our immune systems are high. That doesn't change for me when this is over. I've missed one engagement, 27 years of speaking to health. I've been through SARS, I've been through H1N1 twice. I have traveled every week for all these years, but I'm always well because these basics are in place. So what are we doing to say, okay, it is what it is. This is the current reality of the world. This is our new normal right now. Forget what everybody else is doing. Forget what the politicians are doing. What are you doing to be well? So again, when this is over. So it's been important for me to look at the things I can control. Then as a person, I look at the words that I'm using. My friends are using words like carnage and apocalypse, and this will ruin me, and this is hell. And I say to them, take a breath, spend some soulful time with yourself saying, I'm healthy enough. I know there's 10% and I know it's stressful, but what can, rather than spending time talking about the hell that you're living in, talk about what you can do to make sure that you're well when this is over, and watch our words. Yes, this is difficult, but look at our beautiful Nova Scotia friends dealing with this and that. There's people in refugee camps right now. There's people in third world countries that are dealing with what we're dealing with far greater dire circumstance than we have. So watch our words. Change the way you talk about what's happening right now. Words are power. Thoughts are power. Manifest something different and beautiful. My girlfriend dropped off a little care package to me the other day. God, I love, that's one thing I love about this time is how it's changed, how loving and caring we interact with each other. And so of course I'm talking to her on the sidewalk and she's in her car and I'm thanking her. And I said, tell me how you are doing. And she said, you know, I've never been better. This is the first time I've had to do true soul work. And as she drove away, I thought, isn't that true? This is our time to do our soul work. Doesn't this reveal our true selves and how we deal with chaos and difficult times and stress? For those of us who grew up with lots of stress and chaos, we know how to deal with this. But some people didn't grow up with the coping mechanisms. This is your chance to do things better and different. So if any other life event happens, you'll have tools to do that. And then I'm going to leave you talking about yourself, to talk about your family and your business with this question. What do you wish you would have got done? My province is starting to lift some bans as of May 21st. And I've been posting a lot of videos lately saying, what do you wish you would have got done in this time? When this is all over, when COVID's over, and you look at yourself in the mirror later and you say, I had all that time off, I was quarantined, I was isolating. What do you wish you would have got done? Who do you wish you will pop out of the other side of all this? Who do you wish you will be? What better, different version of yourself will you be? Not spun out, fearful, tired version. So that's my hope for everybody right now. And what my friends and I have been sharing lately is, what are you excited about when this is over? Change the conversation. We talk too much about it. Let's talk about, I get it, it's happening, it's our new normal, it's our current reality, it's terrible. But my friends and I have been having really fun conversations around, what are you gonna do when it's over? What's the first thing you're gonna do? Who's the first person you're gonna hug? What's the first shop you're gonna go shop at? What's the first meal you're gonna have? Who's the first person you're gonna go run and hug? It's been our fun conversation. So that's all I hope. We look in the mirror, the only person you can control in your whole life, and say, what am I doing during this gift of time to be better and different when it's over? Now let's talk about our families. My family unit, my husband Darren and I have been together for 27 years. My husband is a motivational speaker too. They call us Oprah and Dr. Phil. So my husband and I have had a very different work calendar, which I will talk about next. But we've had half a year of business wiped off of our calendar. I spent the first 2 weeks in March, in the busiest 2 weeks of my career, traveling, feeling like Indiana Jones with a Temple of Doom ball rolling behind them, with going event to event the first 2 weeks of March, feeling like the virus was chasing me, and every event I'd get to, I'd be like, oh, let's just hurry up and get this done so I can be sure that it's going to happen. And then our business stopped abruptly, like for many of you. Our entire March, April, May, and most of June was wiped off our calendar. That represents for us an entire half of year of business. Half a year's income was wiped off of our calendar. That's both of us. So I had to come back into the family unit. We have a beautiful 19-year-old daughter whose car is packed, ready to move away, and that did not happen. Our 17-year-old son was graduating from high school. He's done high school, no talk of graduation. So it's very difficult on our families, what is happening. Some of the people you're living with have lost their jobs. Some have come home to work. Some are getting paid and not working. There's all kinds of family dynamics, and you're living, you've got elderly parents you can't go visit. So much has changed in the family unit. But again, the best gift I give them is a grounded, rested, nourished, positive person in a difficult time. So a few things I had to do in my family. The first thing I had to do was have a talk about money. We had a very honest, authentic conversation with our teenagers that said, here's what happened. This is the income we've lost. This is how much money we have left. And this is how long we have this money for. And this money needs to last us till here. And this is what we need to do to adjust our spending, which is a lot easier when there's nowhere to shop or eat. But we need to adjust our spending to make sure that we're going to be okay. And we're going to be okay because we're healthy. So we had that open, honest conversation. Because I don't know about you, but I graduated in high school in 1987. And I remembered this last week. One of my girlfriends in high school in grade 12, her dad lost his job. And I remember her coming to school very fearful, telling us all how her dad had been laid off. And we'd ask questions like, is he going to get another job? Is your mom going to start working? Are you guys going to be okay? Is there enough money? And nobody talked about it. Nobody talked about this he started drinking, which is a whole other thing. But there was so much fear and anxiety around are they going to be okay? And nobody talked about that. And I grew up in 5 different families, and I grew up in some very functional families and some very non-functional families. And some of us grew up in families where nobody talked about these fearful life events and how it might be affecting the entire family. And then they swept things under the carpet, and then we just tripped over those things for the rest of our lives. Let's not do that to our families right now. Go to them. Ask how they're feeling. Are they feeling fear? Get the fear in front of them. Talk about what that fear is. Our family, is it money? Is it these poor teenagers opening their phone every day and social media feeding them with all the terrible things that are happening in the world? So look at that. Have honest, open conversations with your family. How are you feeling? How am I feeling? Here's where we are with the money situation. Check in with people and care about them. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier to do if you are the living example of being rested, nourished, and taken care of. Then we had to watch our words and how we're treating each other as a family unit. It's very different. You're in my home office here today, and I have worked from home for 20 years. So working from home is not that new and different for me. Having everybody home is very new and different for me. So I'm having people at home and teenagers at home with no jobs, no job prospects, no moving. It's very different. So I have to do a few things. Firstly, I would come into the space, we'd have this all open, honest, raw conversation about money. And then I would come into the space, I would come up and work in my home office and come into the space. And then I would make jokes about being unemployed. And I would make jokes about, I would joke with the dog and say, with my dog Holly, and say, sorry, hon, now we don't have enough money for you to have veterinarian food. And like jokes like we do, but I was joking, trying to make light and funny of the situation. And then my teenagers said, Mom, you're telling us not to be fearful of this time, and then you're making all these jokes about being unemployed and not having enough money. And I thought, good point. So watch our words with our family. We were joking, because we're all, the neuroses is surfacing, right? You're looking over at your husband like, did you always chew like that? Like, if I knew you were going to chew like that, would I have married you? Like all these weird 10% and all the things that irritate us are coming to the surface because you're together all the time. So we were joking about, I'm going to murder you if you put that cup on the counter again, and I'm going to strangle you if you don't put your dishes in the dishwasher. And I thought, that's just awful wording. So we have challenged each other in our house to stop threatening to strangle each other, though some days we want to, and replacing that with positive. Sounds funny, but that's been really important. So when I come into the space, I find something positive to say, and I start to look at what's happening in my family unit through a 90% lens. I never see my teenagers. I literally never see them. I'm seeing them all the time. My beautiful 19-year-old daughter, she'll be gone the minute she can be gone. I'm gonna miss her. Our 17-year-old son's been cooking 4 or 5 meals a night. Like 4 or 5 evenings a week, he's been cooking supper. Like what? That never would have happened. So I'm trying to come into the space and look around and pause for a minute and just be grateful for this family that's all together, that someday that's not gonna happen, and to have people to support me in this time. And then I want to talk about our business. So I look after me, I look after my family, and then I look at my business, this new normal of my business in a new and fresh and different way, looking at through a 90% lens. I have been so blessed with the same admin assistant working beside me for 27 years. And for 27 years, Sandra and I have worked together, and I go on the road. Like I said, 2 or 3 days a week I'm gone for spring and fall. So I'm home. We have lists that we have never been able to get together. I'm doing a much needed new promo video. We just did 50 YouTube videos. We're doing things on our list that we never in a million years would have got done. So I'm sure some of you have bookkeeping to do. You have offices to clean. Some of you have barns and quonsets and buildings to get into. I know you're not supposed to serve your client, but go into your business and clean it up. Make a list. Get excited about a list of what do I want to get done with this gift of time, and do what I suggest. Look at what you absolutely want to get done first. When this is all over, what do you wish you would have done in your business, so that when again you pop out of this, your business is also a shined up, better version than it was. I don't know about you, but locally, we are really pushing local. Our local businesses in Regina are the forefront. They're doing curbside service. They're doing drop-off deliveries. It's amazing to see what is happening with local business in our community. But I'm reminding people, your customer service has to stay great too. If you weren't great at customer service before, it doesn't matter if you're local. It doesn't mean people are automatically going to shop with you. Make sure that you're gracious and lovely to people who are counseling. If you're doing curbside service or pickup, make sure that everybody doing that is not fearful, that they're positive and kind, because when this is over, that's how you're going to be remembered. So look at our businesses. Look at the story you've been telling around your business. My girlfriend will say, this will ruin me. Well, Okay, maybe it will, but you're healthy. And is that the story you keep telling about your business? What could you do instead? And in my last 2 minutes, I want to say this. I delivered this webinar to my motivational speaker friends last weekend. Let's just say we had to mute everybody on that one. And my motivational speaker friends, some of them are really struggling, and they will say to me, because we have a very tight network, this is my passion, Darci, and my business is my passion, and my speaking career is my passion. And I say, that's wonderful, it's mine too, but it can't be your only passion. And if you've seen me speak before, you know that I close every presentation saying, getting your self-esteem from your work is a hollow, lonely place to get your self-esteem fully from. If I got my self-esteem from my work as a motivational speaker, I always joke with my friends, I'd never come home. Why would you leave beautiful Langley, BC, and a granite bathroom and a room that someone cleaned for you and a bed they made and food they cooked to come home every week and clean up dog poo and make dinner for everybody, right? So we motivational speakers are very careful to make sure that what we do, we love. It is our passion. Your business is your passion. You built that place. You filled that place. You work so hard at it. But it can't be all that you get your self-esteem from. Because then when times like this happen, it reveals your true self. It's almost over. I have total, utter faith that when this lifts, we're all going to be better human beings for it. But in the meantime, what did we do to invest in ourselves, in our families, and in our business so that we say, I got everything I wish I would have got done, and I come out into the world a better, shined up version. My family will be better off for this. My business, I've learned so much about me and my business that my business will be better off for this. So there you go. Whew, we're done our 30 minutes, Sumner. Thank you, Colleen, for caring enough about this membership to host these events and to offer the books to people. I am eternally grateful, and I am so excited to get back on an airplane someday and come back out to Langley and share more messages with all of you.
Great. That was amazing, Darci. Thank you so much for doing that for us. And it's much, much appreciated to have your insight, your positivity during these uncertain times. And on behalf of the Greater Langley Chamber of Commerce, we want to thank everybody for joining us today, and we hope you got the most out of this session. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay home. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.